Tonight, we are joined by Hayden and Radine of sailing vessel Island Spirit, live from the Caribbean. They'll be sharing expert tips, tricks, and stories from their adventures sailing around Antigua. Stick around and please help the channel and engage by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and dropping your questions in the chat, and we'll answer them live. I'm Captain Tinsley. Welcome to the Salty Podcast, episode 47. Here they are, Hayden and Radine. There we go.
Hey.
Hello.
Cheers, everybody. From the Caribbean, right.
Happy New Year, live from
Antigua.
We are not in Antigua. We're in Guadeloupe right now. We just sailed out of Antigua after being there for a month exploring because we fell in love with it again. We just could be one of our favorite islands, but now we're in the French islands, so look out. It could
change.
Could change.
Yeah, well, so you guys chose this topic, which I'm always thrilled to have you on because you're so organized and you send me these great visuals and the charts and the arrows and the routes and where the winds are going and all that. So that's great. So I never even prepare. I just do the teaser and do the thumbnail and then you guys do the rest.
Well, we are a little neurotic about diagrams and handouts as being teachers, but that's part of our problem. We have OCD problems, but no, Antigua. Radine, what do you love about Antigua?
Well, it's easy because it's English speaking, so that just makes everything more simple.
Right.
I like it because it has so many anchorages that you can go to with beautiful beaches, and the people make it the best. That's the main thing that I like about it. The people are very friendly, they're gracious, they're reserved, they're kind, they're helpful. For example, their roads are terrible. When we had a blowout of a tire on a country road in Antigua, a young man came with a tire iron to help us in case we didn't have one in the rental car. He was on his way to work at the airport as the air traffic controller. He was dressed up in his uniform, but he still stopped to help us. So
it's
just one small example.
All these Caribbean islands, what makes them so great is the people that live on the island and how they adopt or treat the visitors that are coming to their island, because all these islands survive on tourism, and many of these islands have cruise ships coming in and out of. And some of these islands you sail into on your private boat, you don't feel like you're welcome there. You kind of feel like an intruder. They're not very kind to you, and you just want to move on. And there's several islands like that we avoid. We won't mention, but Antigua is not one of those. We got so enamored with Antigua this year. We stored there at Jolly Harbor Marina, and after being there for a week or two, we decided to just go ahead and rebook to store there again in May for the hurricane season again, and repeat the exact same procedure we did this year, which was we launched the boat in December 1, and then we spent a month there in Antigua, and we did Christmas and New Year's at Nelson's Dockyard, which was, how about it?
Phenomenal.
That's what turned us on. We're like, okay, we're coming right back to this next year. So
it did okay. It did okay during hurricane season.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't have a direct hit, luckily, and the way the yard stores your boat, it's different than other yards. All the yards will strap down your boat with 2-inch hurricane straps into concrete. This yard goes to the point of welding the jack stands together with rebar, and then they weld rebar from the port side to the starboard side under the boat, and they weld this all together, basically making a big cradle. And we felt pretty secure there. If a hurricane did hit, I mean, we took a hurricane in Puerto Rico, 220 mile an hour winds with Irma and Maria, and our boat didn't fall over, strapped down the same way, but a building blew up and then broke our mast. So the flying debris,
remember that.
The flying debris can do the damages, but in Antigua, we were so thrilled with the boatyard. That's what made us come back, and we said we're just going to stay here again.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to do another video on how you prepare your boat,
right,
for when you leave it, because it's pretty amazing. I don't think anybody else does it quite like you guys do.
Well, we keep a Google document, and then we log everything everything we do step
Of
by step.
you. Yeah.
Of course we would. Of course we would have a Google document.
Yeah. I'm including where people can find you here. I'm going to take this off the screen, but at SV Island Spirit on all the different social medias, and there's your
Right.
email. And
Right.
let's go ahead and say you're also a broker. So if anybody
Yeah,
wants to buy a boat,
I'm a broker. I'm a broker with CJ Yacht Sales in west coast of Florida, St. Pete, and we mainly focus on island packet yachts. If people want to get into sailing and want to get an island packet, us being owners for 30 plus years of an island packet, we know the brand and what can work for you. So we work as buyers, brokers. People looking to get into a boat is where we focus. So that's our main focus. Yeah.
and I can attest, you know everything.
No, we don't. We do not.
Close.
Oh, well,
Well, thank
okay.
you.
All right. We'll be close.
All right. So where do you want to start? You want to
Yeah,
start on
let's
this?
show people where Antigua is because nobody knows where. Let's do the Antigua one chart.
Okay.
So this is where Antigua is. You'll see Florida up there in the top left corner of the screen, and you'll see 1,200 miles southeast on a course of 120, which drives you crazy because the winds are from 090. So the wind is on your port bow, what 30 degrees off your port bow for 1,200 miles. And you got to bash your way out here to get past Puerto Rico and past the Virgin Islands. And then Antigua is the corner of the Leeward Islands. And then the Windward Islands go down south from there. The beauty of being in Antigua is you can beam reach sail south and north to the other islands, right?
Right.
So that's what we like about storing here. Plus, we found a lot of other buddies have stored here for years. So we're not the first people to discover Jolly Harbor Marina. But that's
Charlie Harbor
where
Marina.
Jolly Harbor Marina. That's where Antigua is. And everybody pronounces it wrong. So there's a little phonetic spelling on how to pronounce it, Radine.
Antigua.
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 Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So if you
Fresh
go to the
to
next,
salty's watching. Okay.
yeah, oh, fresh salty, great.
Fresh
If you go to
to
the next
salty.
screen. Now here's another interesting layout of why Antigua is so great. Is it's not only the island of Antigua, but it's the island of Barbuda. Tell them about Barbuda.
Barbuda is a very flat island. Antigua is very mountainous, and Barbuda is almost feels like the Bahamas. It's very low lying, and it's also the site of the largest frigate bird sanctuary in the world. And you can take tours with a guided naturalist, and that's on the left-hand side of the map. And there's only 1,000 people that live there. They were badly damaged during Hurricanes Irma and Maria. They actually had to be evacuated to Antigua to live until things could be rebuilt.
Yeah.
So it's very, very quiet and remote and lovely.
The beautiful thing is you see the east trade winds blowing in from Africa, and
Yes.
Barbuda is due north. So it's a 35-mile beam reach sail up to Coco Point, which is the point everybody anchors at. And then it's a 35-mile beam reach back. So this is a 5-6 hour sail. It's a day sail, and it's a beam reach, and it's serious ocean sailing with some nice 5-6 foot seas coming across your beam. And then you get up to the Barbuda, and you have pink sand beaches like Bermuda, and there's a little lobster hut on the beach that you can get your lobsters at, and it's really a remote location to go to. And that's part of Antigua, the country of Antigua. It's Antigua and Barbuda is one country, so you don't have to check in and check out to sail between these two islands.
And I just noticed the little square here, and did you already talk about the little square right there?
No, that's on another chart. I'll show the tip of
Okay.
Barbuda, but
Okay.
now let's just focus in on Antigua. Now the next screen here is going to show us. Okay, here's the general lay of the land of Antigua. You're going to see I have identified 7, 8 positions around this island. Again, you have the east trade winds blowing across the island from east to west. If we start at number 1 down in the bottom, English Harbor, that's where Nelson's Dockyard is. That's the most famous marina area. That's where all the mega yachts go. Number 2 is Falmouth
What?
Harbor.
And that's where is that where you left your boat?
No, we're back around
No.
to number 5 or
Oh.
number 4.
Okay.
But this
Gotcha.
is like the most famous harbor is English Harbor, and
Okay.
everybody will love it. And then the next is Falmouth Harbor, number 2, and that's where the Antigua Yacht Club is. And you'll find yachts there like the owner of WhatsApp and
Oh, wow.
famous Russians dock their boats there, and anybody you can think of. The Google founder was Larry Page was in there the other day with us. So
Yes.
you find major yachts. Oh, and the Mars Candy Company was in there with their 350-foot yacht named
Wow.
Starburst 4 because they made the Starburst candy. So you
So
find
what do you think the average? Well, what are the bigger ones? What are the bigger
the
yachts?
average yacht in Falmouth is going to be 200 to
this.
250 feet, and they're going to be $10 to $20 million. They're right.
Right.
They're just fantastic. So that's number 2, Falmouth.
Okay.
And then you come around, there's another one there called Carlisle Bay. And then you come inside Cade Reef and you scoot around the number 4, which is where Jolly Harbor is. And then number 5 is Five Islands area bay, where most of the mega yachts hang out at. And then number 6 is up at Deep Bay. And then number 7, which isn't, well, 7's over there, but just past number 6 is St. John. That's where the cruise ships come in at.
Okay.
And that's the capital.
The capital. All the cruise ships are docked in there. And then number 8 is up in the North Sound area. And we've explored up there. We've been up there for weeks. And a lot of little islands to anchor around. And then number 7 is the hard one to get to because it's to the east. It's into the wind. And it's called Green Island. And when it's a calm day, you come around from number 4, Jolly Harbor. You bash your way into the wind to number 3, number 2, number 1. And if there's no wind, you keep going up into the east and you scoot into that little bay up at number 7. And that is where there's a windsurfing school and a kite surfing school, beautiful beaches, remote islands. And you can hang out up there when you got there when there's no wind from the east. So, which is rare. The wind's always blowing 15 to 20 knots from Africa.
And so where do you like to hang out?
Oh, Radine.
Well, we like to stay in Falmouth, number 2, and it's an easy walk from there over to English Harbor, which is where Nelson's Dockyard
we'll show that
is.
in the next slide.
Right.
But so Falmouth and where else?
Well, Jolly Harbor is great. It's wide open, and the town is great, and lots of boats. The smaller boats like us gather there.
Yeah, number 4 is the easy way to arrive at Antigua. You sail in from St. Bart's or the Virgin Islands. You're coming in the early morning, usually overnight passage. And you can see that you would just work your way upwind into the trade winds, tacking back and forth or motoring right in here. And the beauty of Antigua is you have all these bays on the west side of Antigua. So you can just come up into these bays as deep as you want to go and then drop anchor. And the thing that's so nice about the Caribbean is the wind will always be from this east direction. It might be a little northeast or it might be a little southeast, but it is never from the north or from the west. Whereas in the Bahamas and up on the east coast of USA, when a front comes through, you get these clocking winds that are east, and then they pull south, and then they pull southwest, and then west, and then northwest. They blow like crazy, and you're on a lee shore, and then the winds go north, and then they finally switch around to northeast, and then they go back to the east trade winds on the Florida Peninsula.
Yeah.
Down here in the trades, that never happens. It's always east winds.
Do you know why?
It's trade winds. It's the spin of the globe causing the winds around the equator.
So the only thing that suppresses those winds is major storms like the East Coast just had this week. And so tomorrow and the next day and the next day, we're going to have very light winds. And what we have will be from the north. But that also brings in a north swell. We've got a big surge happening all along the Caribbean islands with big waves about 12 seconds apart, but just flowing through every anchorage on the west side of all these islands.
Yeah,
Now,
if you
makes it challenging.
yeah, if you look at predict wind right now and look at the wave pattern of the Atlantic Ocean, you're going to see 25-foot waves around Bermuda right now because there's a massive low, that the snowstorm that just came off the East Coast and everybody got hammered with snow. That snowstorm came off the East Coast, and now that low pressure is out at sea, like near Bermuda, spinning. The waves are up at 25 feet. Those waves then flow down towards the Caribbean, and
What?
we're going to have 10-foot seas crashing on the east side of all these islands. So we're on the west side of all the islands, but the waves wrap around the islands and then they come in from the other direction. So you get wraparound swell.
So
Like
it'll come around here.
Right. So
Yeah.
if you take number 4 there, for example, and you imagine 10-foot waves hitting up where the word Antigua is, the waves are crashing on the northeast side of the island. The waves go around the island on the top and around the island on the bottom, and they swell into these bays. So they'll swell into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll wrap around the island, and you get this surge coming in and out from the west.
So they're not breaking waves.
They're not breaking. Yeah,
They're
But
swell.
it's just,
you're
but you're just constantly in motion, right?
you're
Yeah.
you're sitting on anchor, and your boat's going up 3-4 feet under your anchor, and then it pulls back, and it tugs on your anchor real tight, and then it goes back up 3-4 feet. Now, getting in and off of the dinghy onto your boat is a challenge because you got to time it when the swell is a certain direction for the dinghy. So an ocean swell on the Caribbean islands is a big deal. And if you look at the predict wind for the next week, there's going to be big waves out in the Atlantic, and they affect.
So how is this going to affect you where you are?
We're 50 miles south of here, and we have a lake right now. We're going to have a lake for the next 2 days, very calm, and then by Friday night it's going to be rough, and we're scooting down below underneath Guadalupe, and we're getting in a protected area called the Saints. So we'll be in a different area. There's a question.
Oh, in the Saints, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in the
yes,
Saints.
there's a question. Roger McClure.
Yeah, hey guys, how much anchor chain would you suggest having on your boat to anchor in the Caribbean? We've always had 250 feet of anchor chain. We've always had a half a drum of 5/16-inch HT chain made by ATCO Company, which is a USA company from York, PA, but now they're called Peerless. And it's still a USA made chain. You got to be careful when buying chain. You can get a lot of China knockoff chain, but you want to get USA made ATCO chain, 5/16-inch, half a drum, 250 feet. That's plenty. We've had out 200 feet already, but
we've never had 250.
Most anchorages in the Caribbean are 20 feet, 25 feet. So you lay out 100, 150 feet, 175 we had out the other day in Falmouth. But, lay it out. You got it. Why not use it?
So what do you do in the swells? Anything special?
The beauty of having all that chain out, 175 feet of chain out is 175 pounds. A 55-pound rock on the end of that. The boat has to lift up 175 pounds to get the chain bar tight. It never does. That acts as a
dampening,
dampening effect. Yeah, catenary action, and it just helps the boat surge back and forth. It's not a problem. Really isn't a problem.
So for people that might suffer a little bit from seasickness, this might not be a fun thing.
It's rare that this happens.
Unfortunately,
this only happens when the Northeast suffers a big, huge nor'easter, and the nor'easter is a big low, hurricane strength low, 960 millibars. It comes out into the Atlantic, stirs up the Atlantic. The Atlantic waves come down to the Caribbean once a month, maybe. It's rare.
Okay, well,
yeah,
all right.
It's not all the time. Yeah, it's not all the time.
But you do have to be ready for it.
Yeah, you gotta deal with it. If you go to the next slide, I think we zoomed in on the harbors. Let's see what my next slide is.
All right.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. This is one of our happy places, Falmouth Harbor. So this would be one of the key harbors. this is where Antigua Yacht Club is. You can see where I'm pointing where Antigua Yacht Club is. So again, look at the blue arrows. The blue arrows show the trade winds blowing across these harbors. So the Falmouth harbor is bigger and more space to anchor in than the English harbor down in the bottom right. The English harbor is where Nelson's Dockyard is, and that's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And a lot of people will want to go into Freeman's Bay and anchor there. But what happens in Freeman Bay, especially when the swell is running, the swell will come around the corner here and surge into Freeman Bay, and you'll have this swell going back and forth inside of Freeman Bay. Unless you get way up past where Nelson's Dockyard is, you're not going to get away from that. Yeah, up in there. And that's where that's where most people anchor and live, is up there. If you go on the other side of the land and go to Falmouth Harbor, you can see it would be pretty hard for the north swell to wrap its way all around Antigua Yacht Club and come all the way up to the head of the harbor, where we say we anchor here up at the top. Yeah, we anchor right there. So what we do is we come in the harbor, drive all the way east up until you hit one of the mega yachts. And when you hit one of the mega yachts, you turn left and you drop your anchor, right?
Yep, that's what we always do.
That's what we do. We go right up to the top. That places you very close to the dinghy dock, where I have the word walk. You can walk across the land right there to Nelson's Dockyard. So every day we come in by dinghy and we walk over to Nelson's Dockyard, get a coffee, or just go for a hike up the hill there, look out at Freeman Bay, where there's a popular bar there on the beach called the Loose Cannon that our buddy boat loves to go to. That's Alex and Amy. They go over there to Loose Cannon. So that's a popular place. The Freeman Bay is a very popular place because you can get the Nelsons by dinghy dock then. But we prefer to be up in Falmouth Harbor and then just walk over to Nelson's, because a little bit more open space to anchor.
So I'd like to put in a plug for Nelson's Dockyard.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the 1700s, Antigua was owned by the British. It was a colony, and they were very worried about Antigua, all the sugar plantations that were here. There's 109 of them. You can still see the mill from each of those plantations. So the entire place was covered. The trees were stripped and it was covered in sugar plantations. So Nelson's Dockyard was built as a safe harbor for the British fleet. And in the from 1785 to 1789, Horatio Nelson was in charge. He was the commander-in-chief of the whole area. So there's buildings that have been restored by the UNESCO World Heritage Association, so that we can see today what it was like back then. It is the best restored working dockyard of Georgian era in the world. So it's really very special. And they've done a great job of adding restaurants and adding hotel rooms without turning it into a Disney World kind of place.
It's a dream.
You feel the history everywhere you walk.
We went there. They had a Christmas Day party that was champagne all day long, and then a buffet, Caribbean buffet. And 6 or 8 of us boaters got together and made it a day there.
And it was a charity event that's sponsored every year by the National Parks Association.
It's what made us decide that, well, we're coming back here repeating exactly what we did this year. We're gonna launch the boat beginning December, spend the month in December in Antigua, do Nelson's Dockyard for Christmas and Nelson's Dockyard for New Year's Day. And I don't think it can be any better. We know what's down island. We've been on all the islands all the way to Grenada multiple times. And so not to belittle any of the lower islands, it's just that Antigua and Nelson's Dockyard is quite a pinnacle of a place to hang out. We love to just go there and order a pot of coffee or a drink or a martini and sit and look at the harbor. And all these mega yachts are docked all around the perimeter, right where that Nelson's Dockyard arrow is. There's a peninsula there, and all the mega yachts, 200-300 footers, are backed in there, and they're tied up stern to, and you get to walk around and see all these billionaires that have their 300-foot yachts here. It's really, really interesting.
Are these yachts? Is this their home port, or they're just
No,
in for the
no.
winter?
Yeah.
No. The yachts come to Antigua for services, and they go to St. Martin for services. Those seem to be the big two islands for the mega yachts, but they were just here for Christmas and New Year's, and then they all left.
And do these
Yeah.
millionaires rent these out?
Yeah. Oh.
It's a tax deduction.
Every mega yacht is a business write-off. Of course, they rent
Yeah.
for $20,000 to $50,000 a day, and they rent them once or twice a year. And so
I've watched
all the
Below Deck,
operating-
so
all the
I wa-
operating expenses are a write-off because they only rented it once, but they still need to spend $20 million a year for the crew and the helicopter and the food and maintenance on the boat. But yeah, it's a write-off, so they're not paying taxes, and they're all registered in foreign lands. And you can look them up. You just speak into your Google phone and say, who owns motor yacht, Starburst.
Right.
It tells
So
you about the market.
They
Yeah.
all have full crews on them, and they're all
Oh.
busy at work.
All in uniform.
10 to 20 crew members on a yacht, 10 to 20 crew. It's interesting. You look them up, and all their charter rates are available. You can find out how much it costs to charter them. Most of them are, $20,000 to $50,000 a week to charter, and most of them have an operating expense of $10 to $20 million a year operating
Wow.
expense for the yacht. So yeah, it's a whole nother world. It's really interesting, but they all come to Antigua Yacht Club, and they all come to Nelson's Dockyard, and that's where they
Okay.
go. It's
we
really,
do have a
really-
question here.
oh yes, feet or meters. The chain is in feet, 250 feet.
I think he wants to know about the chart.
Oh, are the charts in feet? Let me look.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah, that's meters. That's meters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we anchor up there at the top, where I say we anchor here, it's 2 to 3 meters deep. That's where I had out 175 feet the other week because I ended up in the deep water, and that's fine. I just had room to lay it all out, which is what I like about up there. Yeah.
Now, with all these millionaire boats and everything, what's it? I guess there's a lot of people just like you, just like me, that are also there.
Oh, there's more of us than them. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
There's all of us here. This harbor at Falmouth is loaded with boats our size. I mean, we're the smaller boat at 35 feet. Most of the boats are 40 to 50 feet, 45, 50 feet. But we're all in the same harbor. We're all going to the same pizza shops and roadie shops and hardware stores and laundries.
$100 lunches.
No.
No, you can get
No.
affordable
You get
food.
you get a roadie and a beer for $20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you going to cover? I don't want to step on your story here, your plan. Are you going to talk about provisioning there, or expenses?
Well,
and all that stuff?
provisioning. Yeah, Radine's good on the provisioning. That's her division.
There's an excellent grocery store in Jolly Harbor called the Epicurean, and for a small grocery store, they really have just about anything you could want.
Yeah.
It's within easy walking distance of the dinghy dock in Jolly, and so it works very well. It's not inexpensive though. Things in Antigua are more expensive than the other islands. And I think that's because of just taxes and import duties and things that they charge there.
They have a 17% tax
Whoa.
On
on everything. Right. If you go a couple screens forward, the next screen after Falmouth, the next one right there. This shows the lay of the land of Jolly Harbor. This is kind of our happy place. And this is where Radine was talking about the dinghy dock and the stores. You'll see down there in the bottom corner, the bottom right corner, it says dinghy dock and stores.
Yep.
Oh wow,
You
that's
think?
a lot of dinghies in there.
Well, that's the marina. That's where the charter boats run in and out of, and that's where you can dock your boat. We anchor out where it says anchor, and then we dinghy into there. And
Is this
Jolly
this where the charter boats go? I mean, the cruise ships right here.
No.
This is a very small boat.
Yeah,
okay.
Focused
this is
area.
the little
no
guy.
mega yachts in
No,
here.
this is the little guys in here. All those little fingers you see are condos in Jolly Harbor. They're all like
okay.
$300,000 to $500,000 condos now with docks. So it's
not
really
bad.
pretty nice. It's fabulous. This was a swamp, and I don't know when, but they dug it all out and made this complex of houses and docks. And then the marina down in the very bottom. And that's where we hauled out. We haul out there where it says fuel. That's where the haul out slip is.
Yeah.
And then you come out of right there at fuel, and they park you right there in the hard on concrete. And that's where we stored for the summer. And we're going to store there again May until December for hurricane season. But customs is right up there. So you can sail in from, your St. Bart's or St. Martin, or sail in from down south down near Guadalupe. You come in, you drop anchor out in this wide open area. We like to anchor way in the inside there where the longest arrow is. We go into that cove, and then you dinghy into the customs dock and you check in. And we spent a month here, 1 month based right here.
Well, in Jolly and Falmouth.
Yeah, Jolly. We spent a couple weeks in Falmouth, a couple weeks here, and it was hard to leave because it's so convenient.
So within walking distance of where it says fuel is also a Budget Marine, which is a chain of marine stores, kind of like a West Marine.
Okay. So how much does it cost to check into the country?
Good question.
We just checked out. That was $20.
$20 to check out.
So that's $7.
$20 to check in for the Port Authority. It's not like the Bahamas, which are $300 to $600.
I don't think it was more than $70 total.
It might have been $50. I mean, it's cheap.
That's not bad.
In
the DR, I was told that you had to pay every person you talk to.
Yeah. The DR, you give out treats and candies and beers and tips here, tips there.
Bring your $20 bills and just,
but again, the DR, their labor rate is $3 a day. So I mean, they deserve some tips. Here in Antigua, the labor rate that I looked up is 9 EC an hour, which is $3 US an hour. So the labor rate here is also cheap, but the work here that we had done by the yard was reasonable. We had the boat waxed here. We had the boat bottom sanded and painted here. And I had one through hull replaced here. And it was all way cheaper than Florida. Half price of Florida.
And was it as good as Max?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The bottom paint was fantastic, and the sanding was incredible. The wax was great. Yeah, I've been pleased with the work here, which is again why we're coming back.
Didn't you get it done pretty recently? So you had it done again?
Every year we usually paint the bottom, but when I was painting with Trinidad bottom paint, I would paint every 2 years.
Right.
But
you can't get that here
Trinidad's
in the Caribbean.
Hard to get. So
I see.
I don't use ablative paints. I use hard epoxy paints so I can scrub it when I'm swimming it. So they got to sand it to put the new paint on is what they do.
But it's at half price. So what the heck, right?
Yeah.
It was a very good price. I was pretty impressed. I mean, to get the boat waxed and painted and everything, I was thrilled with the price, not disappointed. And that's why we committed. We said, okay, we're going to come back here. And then yard storage here for us was about $600. Yeah. You're ending up paying about $650 a month to store your boat here, which is the same as if I sailed it home to Annapolis and put it in a dock in Annapolis. It's going to cost me $1,000 to $1,200 a month. So the price, the carrying cost of maintaining a boat, either in the water or on the hard or in your home dock, unless you have a house with a dock, it always seems to be about $600 to $1,000 a month. That's what we.
And the price is just about the same as Grenada and as Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we stored 2 years in Grenada and we stored 2 years in Puerto Rico. And now this is the first year we stored in Antigua, and we're coming back here to store again in May.
And plus you save all that time getting there, which would take how long?
Well, it takes about 3.5 months.
That's why we did. I mean, if you went straight out to Bermuda 6 days and then sailed south to the Caribbean, it's 10 days. The Caribbean 1,500, very typical sailing run, but we don't do more than 500 miles. The two of us are good for 500 miles, and then we're exhausted. And we normally don't take crew anymore. We just want to be the two of us. So we talked about taking the boat home this year, and we went through the numbers and everything. We said, well, we could sail it home and get back to Annapolis, but then we want to be back here. So we said, well, if we sail home and put the boat in our Rock Hall Marina, it's $700+ a month to store the boat there. And then we got to come back here again. So we just said the cost is the same to just leave it here. The negative thing is we don't have a boat for the summer.
No, we talked about that, but Rating got mad at me.
Second boat, 2 boats.
Getting
two
an Island
boats.
Packet 27 for
2
home.
boats, 2 boats.
Yeah.
We need a second boat. We need a
She
27.
said, I thought we were friends. That's what she
No,
said.
We need a 27 in Annapolis at a private home that we could pay a discounted rate on, and that would be perfect. Yes.
I frankly need a break from boating.
Yeah.
Then-
Okay.
When we take a break from it, then I come back refreshed and excited.
That's how we're maintaining this. This is our 25th year out here, and we both think we're able to keep doing that by getting off the boat, putting it away, saying that's enough, we're done, go home, do something else,
Right.
and then come back and okay,
We're
we know
excited.
what we got to do. Let's set it up again and get going
It
again.
keeps you from getting burnt out, doesn't it?
That's
Exactly.
that's what we've discovered. The people that have done this a long time, they seem to be successful by taking a break. So that's what we're trying to do. What's the next slide I got there? Let's see what else I have. I don't even remember what I sent you all. Okay,
Hey, Mike.
up to the north. Hey, there's Mike.
Coons-
Thank you. Great insight. Thanks, Mike. Up to the north is one of my very happy places called Deep Bay. You can't really see, but just to the south of this is Jolly Harbor. And so you come up to the top here and you go into this little deep bay. There's a nice sandy beach there. And wow, to me, that is what burns into my mind as one of the sweet spots in Antigua. You could just anchor there, swim with turtles, hike up to the Fort Barrington. And yes, everybody complains about the jet skis that now rent out of this harbor. They run them down from St. John's. They bring them down around here. Then they rent them. They drive them around the harbor like maniacs. But every day they get home at 3, 4 o'clock, and you got the whole place to yourself. There's nobody there. So you just got to put up with the jet ski rentals, which are popular in Antigua for the cruise shippers. The cruise ships come in. 2 or 3 cruise ships will be up there in St. John, and then they bring them down here by little boats, and they put them on this beach, or they drive them down by excursion buses, and they drop them on this beach, and then they rent jet skis and go out and run around the harbor.
But it's not crowded at
No.
all.
If there's 10 people on the beach, it would be a busy day. We love
How
it.
many boats? How many sailboats?
4 boats will be anchored in there.
Oh, wow.
We've been
3
there by ourselves sometimes.
3, 4 boats. It's a must do. Deep Bay is a must anchor.
And there's a wreck at the entrance to
Yeah.
the harbor that is marked, and you can go snorkel it. So that makes it interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's St. John. We went up there and anchored in there one time and then left. It's a city. It's where the cruise ships come in and out of. You don't really need to spend time up there. You take a cab up there and go to the shops and the markets and things, but we mainly stay in these back bays of Antigua.
Okay.
And now the next slide, I think I take us up to Barbuda. Oh yeah. So
Okay.
here's the sail from Antigua north, a little bit northeast it looks like, to Barbuda. And now you'll see there's a bottom corner there called Coco Point. And that's where you're going to go. Now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see
Coco Point, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the next slide, I zoom in on Coco Point. Yeah, look at this. Now, unfortunately, the owner of Paul Mitchell Hair Salon products got sold this entire point of Coco Point. And sadly, he is building a mega resort there. And it's kind of a shame that they're developing that, but he owns that whole point from the airstrip south. So what we do is we go in and we anchor along that beach, and I get down to as far to the bottom corner as I can. And that private resort, the beach access is allowed up to high tide. You see my note there? Beach access to high tide. Nobody in Antigua may own the land beyond the high tide mark.
Okay.
So you go
Well,
in
below it,
below it. Yeah,
towards the water.
towards the water. So
Yeah,
you
that's
could
kind of
s-
like here. That's like
yeah,
here.
yeah,
It's the same
right.
way. It's
Yeah.
public
Okay.
beach up
Right.
there. I do
So
have
they
a
can't.
question. I have a
Yeah.
question over here on Instagram. How
Okay.
busy is this harbor? Now I'm not sure which one he's talking about, so maybe he'll tell me.
Yeah. This.
Not
Yeah.
sure which one, but go
This
ahead and tell
harbor.
us what it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This harbor here is Barbuda Coco Point, and this is such a sweet place to go to. It's pink sand beaches. You take your beach chair and your umbrella and you stick it in the sand below the high tide mark. They will come
And you're
running
good.
out from the resort and tell you you cannot come up here. Like, yes, we may, to that line of sand. You can
I'm going to
see
tell
where
him
the-
you told me it was okay that I could
you
come
can
up
see-
and
you can-
enjoy
you-
the time at the resort.
you can see where the high tide mark is. So if you're smart, you go at low tide, and that whole point becomes exposed. And so you go down there, you set your tent up, you set your umbrella up, you anchor your dinghy in the water, you swim in, and you're on the best point in Barbuda, and they don't like it, but they can't do anything about it because you're below the high tide mark. You're in
You
the
just have to
public-
bring your own food, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right. It's fine. You got a boat.
A little
You got a
cabana
boat.
boy is going to come down and try to bring you a drink or anything?
They're
No.
not going to come down to you now. The cool thing that happens here is the millionaires fly in here and land on a seaplane.
Right
And
here.
they
Oh,
no,
seaplane.
the seaplane lands
Yeah,
in the water. They land in the water, and then off of the beach will come about a 30-foot T-top powerboat that is sitting on the sand, and out from the side of the powerboat comes caterpillar tracks that then the boat drives down the sand into the water, and then
Oh,
it
wow.
motors out to the seaplane, and then the millionaires get off the seaplane into that boat, and then that boat goes back to the sand, and the caterpillar tracks come out, and it goes back up on the sand. It is the coolest thing to see. It's worth going up there to see that boat. And that's
Probably
how
billionaires.
that's how they come and go to
Yeah.
the Coco Point Resort. And
Wow.
we haven't been up there for 2 years, so we'll get up there this season.
Or
and
they
check
could bring
it out
their
again.
Gulfstream right here.
They'll land right there.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. Now, my other buddy tells me up the beach here where the reef is, you see to the north, there's a reef, and there's a lobster shack up there that the guy grills lobsters for you on the beach. We've not experienced that. We want to do that, but right up there, yeah, up in that corner of the beach is a lobster shack, and you anchor up there and then dinghy in. Now, again, the waves are crashing onto this beach here.
Hayden, now
Well-
crashing is a little bit of an
The swell.
exaggeration.
The swell.
Yeah,
There's times
there's waves.
there's times you can't land the dinghy on this beach.
True, but
Oh, okay.
that's not all the time.
So you
You're
anchor.
talking
you
about right
flip-
here? Right in
Yeah,
here?
this
All,
whole
the whole thing,
this whole beach.
all
This
those
whole-
red
okay.
arrows.
Oh, yeah. So you just anchor the dinghy out and swim in. That's very
Okay.
common.
Yeah.
Very common.
And then there's great snorkeling to the east, to the right-hand
Oh
side.
yeah. You take the dinghy down around, you go out to the east, and you hit all those reefs over there to the right.
And make sure you have a dinghy anchor because you will need it there.
And if you're brave,
Okay.
you could take your boat into all those reefs and anchor it. But we don't like places like that. We don't like to take the boat through a reef like that.
We
But-
have plenty of friends who have
We
done
have-
it, but not us.
We have buddy boats that have anchored in there. We like, no, that's not for us. We like nice.
Wow, they
open
got them right
areas.
there, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go right into those reefs and drop an anchor. No, we'll take the dinghy and swim. We like to be
Okay.
back on this sandy beach over here. So that's Barbuda. That's the prize of Antigua right there, right?
Yep.
You say a lot of places are your happy place. We're gonna have to make
Well-
a top 10 list of happy places for you.
Ooh, okay, I can
Hey,
do that.
Hayden's happy place is usually where he is right
Ooh,
now.
Right now,
Oh,
it's, right
good
now it's French.
answer.
Right now it's French. And if I were in Miami Beach, that would be Miami Beach. Would be my happy place.
Biscayne Bay.
There
I
you
love Biscayne Bay. Do I have another slide? I'm not sure I do. I think I
I don't
might be
think
at the end.
so.
I think I'm at the end. Yeah. Yep. So that's our little Antigua Barbuda, how it's all laid out, and the best places to hang out at.
Now, remember when we did the provisioning for Bahamas
Yeah.
video, and you were saying you need to bring your stuff because they just don't have a lot there, not a lot of choices. Is this one of those places also?
Not
or-
at all. No,
Oh my
this is
gosh.
so civilized.
You
You can get marinated artichoke hearts and pickled onions and,
Oh, wow.
and fancy olives stuffed with jalapenos or blue cheese. No, you can get just about anything you could
But
possibly
you just have to
think
pay
of here
17% on top of it.
on
Right.
top
That's
of the
why you
price.
sail down here to the French islands where it's all much cheaper. So
The French government actually subsidizes the groceries for their
Oh,
French
wow.
citizens, so it's less expensive
Yeah.
here than it
Yeah.
is in Antigua.
Yeah.
But we hardly have any provisions on the boat right now. We haven't felt
Yeah.
compelled to buy a lot because we know we'll easily be able to get whatever we want along the way.
it's so much different than
The
leaving
Bahamas.
Florida and going to the Bahamas, and then Bahamas down to the Turks and Caicos, and Turks and Caicos the Dominican Republic. You sort of want to be provisioned up for those runs.
Right.
But once you're down here in the Caribbean, you don't need to worry about provisions. The food is amazing and everywhere. Stores are great.
Oh,
Exactly.
I want to pull up these pictures that you sent me.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get that going here.
Yeah, I sent you some pictures of Nelson's Dockyard and the yacht club or whatever, I think. So
Okay, so go ahead and talk while I'm doing this.
yeah. So I don't know if we have a favorite place in the Caribbean yet. I mean, we love St. Martin, we love Antigua, we love the French islands. Any French island we get to, we always fall in love with. Seems like that's looking at Montserrat, the volcano from
Wow.
Shirley Heights. That is the volcano to the left, the highest point there in Montserrat.
And it has
Okay.
had more seismic activity the first 10 days of December than it has had since 2010. So the government put out a warning that there's more activity. So 2/3 of that island is in an exclusion zone.
Yeah.
It's a wasteland. Everything was covered in ash. I don't remember, 15 years ago, something like that. And so only 1/3 of it is currently occupied.
Okay. So was it occupied before 15
Oh
years
yeah,
ago? No?
yeah. You
Wow.
can see pictures of the town that is now just covered in ash. Like only half of the roofs are sticking out of the layers of ash.
Wow. So what's your prediction? What's going to happen with this volcano?
Jimmy Buffett, what are you going to do when the volcano blows?
Yeah,
I hope
exactly.
I'm not over there.
I guess it's like the big, not the Big Island, but was it the Big Island? The big,
Yes,
which one in
yeah.
Hawaii?
Hawaii,
I've been,
Yeah.
we were there and we
Yeah,
saw.
this is as close
Oh,
as
were you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You saw it
and
you roughly?
they sell like lava insurance or volcano insurance in Hawaii. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, you have to have
Well-
insurance if you're living in certain areas.
Wow. Well, in Montserrat, they had plenty of warning that it was going to happen, and so everyone was evacuated
That's
before
nice.
it happened. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is
Same.
what was happening here.
That's just a lazy day of sailing from Falmouth downwind back around the Jolly Harbor with just the jib only. So that's just a easy, typical. See, in the backside of these islands, there's no waves. It's kind of calm. So
That's sweet.
that's
It's
just a
wonderful.
5-knot sail, just sailing with the jib. Now, luckily, when I came down here first, Max Sails made me new sails, and they made me a 110 jib, which I hated because it was so small from the 135, 140% jib I used to have for the Chesapeake Bay. Travis said, "You want a 110? It's too windy down there," and he was right. We need the smaller jib. So this is a 110 jib, and it's plenty big enough for down here. Yeah, that's just a lazy sailing day. What else did we send you? Oh, that is Deep Bay. No, that is not Deep Bay. That's the beach in Falmouth. The little burger joint. I'm standing at a burger joint, and that's looking down the beach
To the entrance.
where you commit at Falmouth. And a lot of people anchor right here and then use this beach to swim from Falmouth. But
and a lot of local people use the beach too. It's a very friendly atmosphere.
very popular beach. We use this beach when we're in Falmouth. Yeah.
It's beautiful
what's the
sand.
What's the
Oh,
next?
it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah. What's the next picture we sent? Oh, that's from Shirley Heights. You're looking down into Freeman Bay, which is where the Loose Cannon Bar is. And then you're
Where
looking right where your arrow
cursor is. Yeah.
Your arrow is at Nelson's Dockyard, right in the corner there. And then across the little harbor to the very top right corner, that would be Falmouth Harbor, where we anchor. So we anchor there and walk across that little piece of land to Nelson's Dockyard. Yeah. And that's what the look, that's just the view from Shirley Heights.
And Shirley Heights is an old fort, and twice a week they have steel drum music, and people come and cook barbecue and serve drinks, and so it's just a fun party atmosphere on Sundays and Thursdays.
Is that where you are right there?
Yeah, that's Shirley Heights. That's the top of the hill, looking down. What's the next one you sent? Just a sunset from
Falmouth.
That's Falmouth Harbor. Yeah. That's sunset from Falmouth. We're all the way up in the east, and sunset over there in the west, looking out the inlet. So that's
nice
how calm. That's how calm Falmouth Harbor is.
And
usually.
You can see it's not crowded either.
Right. There's tons of room to go around. What else do we have here? It's 60 degrees F here in Key West.
Ooh.
Chilly. Is the cold air reaching you all? No, we don't have any cold air here yet.
In fact, today was the hottest day we've had since we got here.
It's hot here. It's 87 F here probably. And
about 80% humidity.
Yeah, at night we need a sheet. It gets that cold, It really gets chilly at night. Must get down to 75.
I met this man, Mike, and his wife in Key West. I was going by to see my friend Vanessa's boat, and he recognized me, Mike. And I thought I was in trouble because I was in in the marina looking at somebody's boat when she wasn't there. He goes, "I thought that was you."
Oh,
and
how
as
nice.
It turns out, he said he bought this boat, this Island Packet. I think it's a 2021. Mike, is it a 370 or a 380? What?
Oh wow!
Anyway,
wow!
He bought the boat because of the podcast.
There you go.
That's
All right.
wonderful. Congratulations, Mike.
Fantastic.
He gave me a tour, and it was a perfect boat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Good.
Now you got to get out here, get down here, get out of that chilly Key West.
Well, he said, "I've had this boat for a week," and he just sold his house. I believe it was Ohio. They sold everything, moved to Key West, and now they need to learn how to sail it.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful. I love to hear
Good job.
that.
Congrats,
But I had Vanessa, who's also a broker, on the podcast. And so I was, I was saying, oh, she's a broker. And so he was watching, and he got in touch with her and asked about a boat. And she said, "I know where it is. It's right here next to me."
Wow.
And so he bought it.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
Thanks to the Salty Podcast.
There it is.
There you go. All the credit.
Good job. Outstanding.
It's a great story, and it's a beautiful boat.
Definitely.
They're so excited too. That's always great to see.
Oh, it is. There was our Christmas decorations. We put up 40 feet of lights, pulled them up to the mast, and that was in Falmouth Harbor for Christmas. It was really, really fun. Yeah, there were a couple other boats that were decorated.
How hard is that to put those lights up like that?
You just string them together, and you use your spare halyard, and you zip tie it to your spare halyard, and put your halyard in a loop so you don't lose it. And then just pull it up and then plug it into your outlets and turn on your inverter and run your inverter all night. And it takes no power because it's all LED lights. So we ran that for 2 nights.
You heard it here.
And while we were in Jolly, the yacht club there had a power boat parade of decorated boats. There were 7 boats that came in and out of each of the anchorages.
Yeah, that was
fun.
Did
you join in?
No, we did not. No. What else we have? That's up at Shirley Heights, the steel band playing there, and you can see down into the harbor behind the steel drums. That is a must-do in Antigua. Probably the number 2 thing to do is this, Shirley Heights, and the number 1 thing to do is Nelson's Dockyard.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. What else do we have here? I don't even know what pictures I sent you. Oh, Nelson's Dockyard palm tree, typical. Next, Hayden and Radine, your favorite armchair sailors are following along. MCQ, Rich McHugh.
You know who they are?
Someday we will join in on the adventure. I hope so.
I-
That's Rich McHugh.
I don't
Wanda
know.
McHugh.
I don't
Oh,
know if that's them or not.
Rich and Wanda. Probably if it's a McHugh. It's only
Tell
McHughes I
us-
know.
tell us who you are.
Yes. What's the next picture we have? Don't know. Oh,
Oh.
this is the Nelson's Dockyard. This is the UNESCO site.
Yes.
These are the pillars that held up a massive building. The second floor of this building was a sail loft for the tall ships, and the pillars are what's remaining of the building. And they would row the sails in on rowboats and then into this little canal right over Radine's hat, and they'd hoist the sails up to the second floor, lay them out, and then stitch them and repair them, and then hoist them back down, and then row them back out to the tall ships. That's the Antigua Yacht Club right there. Antigua Yacht Club at Christmas, right there. Yep, that's what it looks like. Just all of those yachts in there. If you count the spreaders, 4 or 5 spreaders, they all have red lights on the top of their mast for low-flying aircrafts. You have a red light on the top of your mast when your mast is over 200 feet. I think it's
Oh,
200
wow.
200 or 150 feet. I forget what it is. And so all those boats have a red light on the top of them. And that's just typical, just interesting. But you can see how calm the harbor is. We dinghy from here to those big boats. That's where the dinghy dock is, where that tall mast is, right there. Next picture is, let's see. That is a view sitting at Nelson's Dockyard for breakfast, just looking out in the harbor. These are the little cabana tables they have for 4 people to have breakfast at the pillars. It's fabulous.
Very civilized.
We go
Very
there.
British.
We go there often. We love it.
I lost my camera, by the way.
Oh, I see you did.
I can hear you.
Oh my gosh, you're
Yeah.
still there. And that's Nelson's Dockyard again
With the pillars.
with the pillars. And next picture. What else do we have? I think that's it. Is that it? Fireworks
Oh.
for New Year's. New Year's over Falmouth Harbor.
They had 4 different locations for the
Yeah.
fireworks. It was great. Oh, it is Rich
It
and
is
Wanda.
Rich and Wanda, our buddies.
Happy New Year, Rich and Wanda.
Super Wanda and Rich, the best mechanic I know. Get me a Corvette, buddy, please. All right. Yeah. What's the next picture we got here? Oh, there's the aerial view of Nelson's Dockyard. You can see how the mega yachts, they're all gone right now. They're not there, but they back in stern too. And you still pay by the length of your boat. You don't pay by how much dock you're taking up, because the dock you're taking up will be the width of your boat, but you pay by the length of your boat. So it's kind of interesting. They get more boats in that way.
So the white building in the center was an officer's quarters back in the day. And so they've rebuilt it.
Yeah.
And now it's offices of businesses. And in the surrounding buildings are old. The hotel where we had Christmas dinner was called the Copper and Lumber Store. And that's what it was. It was the place where they would buy sheets of copper to hammer onto the hulls of the British naval vessels. And they had a carronage where they would lean the boats over to work on them. It's really fascinating.
It's awesome to walk around there. It's really a highlight of Antigua.
The country actually has an archaeologist who is in charge of all the excavations that they're still doing at all the forts. And once a week in the wintertime, he does a tour called Rum to Ruins. And he talks about how the sugar industry and the rum industry is what propelled the British economy here, and then how it all fell apart. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's great. We love this. We love this island. It's why we spent over a month here. We just didn't feel like leaving. Why would we leave? Did I send you any other pictures? I don't know what else I might have sent you. Don't want to bore. That's more of Nelson's Dockyard. What else did I send? That's the pillars, the famous site. And the fireworks, more New Year's Eve. All right. And the overlook, of Nelson's over to the other side
From
of
the fort.
Falmouth Harbor in the next picture. Yep, that's. I think they're just repeating a bunch. That's back to Nelson's again. Yep. Yep. That's the iconic image of Antigua right there, because
Really?
that's where they would row the sails in and lift them up to the upper floor of this building. So it's kind of like one of their icons. Yeah, that's Island Spirit out there in the far distance. She didn't sink yet. All right, I got a lot of repeating pictures here. Oh, that's my favorite picture. That was a nighttime shot from up at Shirley Heights. After a couple of vodkas, we ended up getting a shot of that. So that's kind of a cool shot. Just looking back to the harbor. Yeah. There's the smoking volcano, Montserrat, over my neighbor's boat. All right. I think we've covered it. And the little Island Spirit with their little wind turbine on anchor.
That's the anchorage at Jolly Harbor with Montserrat in the far left distance.
That's how calm it normally is. I mean, it's these anchorages around here are just fabulous. Real easy. All right. Did I lose your microphone?
We can't hear you, Tinsley.
I might have lost your microphone.
Oh, there you are.
Ah.
Well, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties.
I don't even know how you run all this. I have no clue.
It's all working great, and all of a sudden it's not.
I know, it blows up. And we're running this all on Google Fi cell phones. It's amazing.
Yeah, and yours is working better than mine. So we have something else here. Mike says gorgeous, and then these guys said we love the volcano pictures.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, we don't want to get any closer.
So if anybody has any more questions, we have them here. So let me see if I can do my quick commercial.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm Tinsley Meyer.
What?
Hey now. Hey now.
I'm Tinsley Meyer. Why don't I just say it instead of finding the picture? Here we go. Tinsley Myrick of Remax of Orange Beach, here in Gulf Shores in Orange Beach, Alabama. I sell a lot of Gulfront condos. I sell Gulfront homes too. I sell non-waterfront homes. I sell a little bit of land, but mostly I sell Gulfront condos. So please give me a call or send me an email. I'll be glad to help you out. I've been selling condos since 2003 down here.
Fantastic.
So, got a little bit of knowledge. Well, I guess that is it. I think the technology is telling us we are done.
All right. Thank you, Tinsley. Good job.
You always make it fun.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We might have one more. Okay. Yeah. Well, favorite on-land restaurant.
Oh.
Well,
Radine?
Pillars over at Nelson Stockyard is great for breakfast. We've actually never had dinner there. In Jolly Harbor, there's a great restaurant called Sea Dreams. I think that would be my favorite.
Yeah, Sea Dreams right at Jolly Harbor is good.
Right, and Basilico, that's where we had a nice dinner with Alex and Amy.
Yeah,
the Italian place. There's about 7 restaurants right in Jolly Harbor Commercial Complex. Where the real estate offices are and the yacht broker offices are and the dentist and the doctor and those kind of things. But there's about 7 restaurants scattered right in that area, and all of them are very good.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah,
there's no shortage of restaurants down here, especially when you get to price points. Meals are $25 to $30 a meal, probably.
Yeah,
each.
They use a currency called Eastern Caribbean dollars, and it's roughly a third. The multiplier would be a third. So what you see on the menu is $90, but it's really roughly $30.
Yeah,
so you're always trying to calculate in your head.
Divide everything by 3. So
roughly.
Now we're in Guadeloupe, and it's all euros, so it's kind of euros are sort of 1-to-1 now.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Close enough. close
Yeah.
enough.
And also,
Rich asked in Antigua. Yes, all those restaurants were in Antigua.
Yeah. Antigua.
maybe
You
he's
could fly-
asking where you are right now. Maybe he came in
Oh.
late.
Yeah, right now we're in Guadeloupe. We sailed 50 miles south of Antigua yesterday, and we're in Guadeloupe, which is a French island. And then we're going to move south to a couple more islands to try to get away from this big ocean swell that's coming. But we were in Antigua for a month, from December 1 till January yesterday.
Till yesterday.
So yeah, we were in Antigua for a month. Just,
Yeah, if you came in late, please watch this in the replay because they gave some great information.
I
About
could personally just stay in Antigua for a whole season.
We have
Our
friends who do.
our buddies do that, and I can see why. And we both said during the month of December, we both said, you know what? If we don't leave Antigua, we will be completely happy to just sail between these places.
you say that about every place. Like if you don't go any further, this right here is great. And then you go, and you know, if you don't go any further than that, that's great though. That's I mean,
true.
you've
You
given
could
us some
just-
great tips.
You could just stay in Biscayne Bay and have a happy life. Also, there's nothing
And
wrong
in the
with that.
Bahamas,
In the Bahamas,
and,
yeah, Abacos.
So I see Roger has a question. Are we moving to get away from the incoming
Yes.
swells?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? TikTok.
All righty. Roger, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, McHugh.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for coming on here. I hope to see you again soon. I'll be down there for sure. All right. So that's it. And so how do we end it? Salty
We say,
Abandon.
Salty Bandit, out.
Out.
And of
Thank
course, I
you.
didn't have it ready, did I?
Salty Abandon, out, I said.
Or maybe we should say Island Spirit out.
I don't know.
I'll say Salty Bandit out, and you say
Island Spirit
Island Spirit,
out.
out.